Hi everyone. No voiceovers, no dialogues, just quiet people and quiet shifts. A stranger collapses. Tieu brings him home. Uri shows up with fruit. Somewhere nearby, an old woman searches for her daughter and makes a mistake. Nothing loud, but something breaks. Hit subscribe and stay with me through the silence. Morning light filtered gently through the palm-thatched roof, casting soft shadows over the quiet wooden room. The strange man lay motionless on the bed, his face pale, wounds still etched into his neck and forehead. Outside, Tieu moved silently, carrying a pot of freshly brewed herbal medicine. Her eyes paused at the doorway, filled with quiet concern. She didn't enter, just placed the pot on the table and turned away. In the cassava garden beyond, sunlight bathed every row of plants. The rain-fed leaves stood tall and green, defiant and alive. Tieu knelt to pull weeds, her hands working fast, as if the motion could sweep away the heaviness in her heart. She sighed, eyes drifting now and then toward the house behind her. Soon, Uri arrived. He carried a small bag. Inside were milk and fruit. His face brightened upon seeing Tieu. They worked side by side in the field, pulling weeds together, their quiet conversation a soft rhythm in the morning air. When Lan was mentioned, a shadow crossed their expressions. An elderly woman who had left recently in search of her long-lost daughter. Back inside the wooden room, the man remained still. Then his fingers twitched. A breath deeper than before. His eyelids fluttered. The moment of awakening came quietly, without warning, like a soul returning from the edges of a forgotten dream. The light had risen high, spilling evenly across the small wooden house. On the bamboo bed, the strange man slowly opened his eyes. Heavy lids, aching breath. He tried to move, shoulders tensing, fingers reaching for the edge of the bed, trying to understand where he was. Confusion flickered across his face. Soft footsteps echoed. Tieu appeared, Uri just behind her. They entered quietly, their expressions calm and composed. Tieu helped the man sit up, placing a cushion behind his back against the wall. Uri brought the bowl of herbal medicine, tested its warmth, then gently handed it to him. Every movement was slow, deliberate, like handling something fragile, something barely returned to life. The man looked around, disoriented. He touched the back of his neck, where pain still lingered. No questions were asked, no words were exchanged, only gestures, weighted with uncertainty and thought. Tieu watched him closely, her eyes filled with something unspoken, a mixture of relief and quiet wariness. She didn't ask anything. The man she had saved was alive, awake, breathing. But behind that gaze, a silent question remained. Who are you? Where did you come from? Outside, sunlight streamed through the palm leaves, casting a warm golden glow over the room, marking the start of a new day and the reawakening of an unknown past. The afternoon passed slowly in a gentle breeze. Outside, Tieu was washing dishes beneath the newly thatched kitchen roof. Uri sat nearby, a cup of green tea in hand, eyes tracing the last rays of sunlight slipping through the trees. Neither of them spoke. The silence between them was warm, but heavy with unspoken thoughts. Inside the house, the man, Tieu, stood carefully, each step measured. He picked up his phone, only to find it dead. A flicker of hesitation passed across his face. Finally, he walked out to the porch, where Yuri waited. Uri looked up and understood. Without a word, he handed Tieu his phone, then turned his eyes back to the horizon. Tieu made the call. His voice was quiet, hoarse, yet firm. He spoke to someone, a subordinate, requesting pickup and sharing his location. When the call ended, he stood still for a long moment, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper. Something stirred within him. Tieu returned, carrying a small cloth bag of dried herbs. She handed it to Tieu, saying nothing. Uri gave a subtle nod, a farewell without words. The three of them stood silently in the yard. Overhead, clouds drifted, and sunlight receded behind a wall of bamboo. Tieu's departure was near, and this quiet house, this temporary refuge, would soon return to its calm days, but with an echo left behind. The door hung slightly ajar. Light from the yard lit half of Tieu's face, his features distant, eyes looking somewhere far beyond. Tieu and Uri sat across from him, saying nothing. The silence settled, thick and steady. Then, Tieu bowed his head, as if unlocking a pain he had kept buried. Slow-motion memories returned. That day, he was walking along a dusty rural road. The sun was harsh, the wind full of grit. A stranger had fallen beside a motorbike. Tieu stopped to help, only to be ambushed. Blows, shouting, chaos, then nothing. Just wind. The attackers' faces blurred, faded. What lingered was pain, helplessness, and betrayal. Back in the present, Tieu's hand curled into a fist, yet his eyes remained calm. Tieu quietly poured a glass of water. Uri simply nodded. They didn't press, didn't pity, they simply stayed. Tieu refused to call the police. It wasn't fear, it was pride, a choice to face what had broken without leaning on others. To reclaim something, perhaps his dignity, perhaps his past. Outside, wind tilted the banana leaves. Sunlight shattered into scattered patches on the ground. A quiet wave passed through the space between them, gentle but deep, like the echo of a storm that had no name. The small yard grew still, touched only by soft winds and rustling banana leaves. Tieu stood at the doorway, holding the bag of medicine and freshly washed clothes. He glanced back at the yard, then into Tieu's eyes. No words, only a slow, respectful bow. A car pulled up outside the gate. Well-dressed strangers stepped in, their expressions marked by concern. Tieu walked forward, nodding at them. The air grew formal but warm. He turned once more, first to Uri, then to Tieu, both standing still, neither smiling nor grieving. They understood. Parting was inevitable. He walked toward the car, slowly. Uri reached out to steady him as he stumbled slightly. Tieu stepped back, avoiding his gaze, her hand gripping the medicine bag. As he neared the vehicle, she stepped forward. Quietly, she placed the bundle in his hands, her eyes steady but deep. The car pulled away. Tieu and Uri remained in place, watching until the vehicle vanished behind the trees. No one spoke. Only the empty yard remained, a wooden bench untouched, and the lingering trace of a brief, unscripted encounter. She turned toward the house. He looked back once more, a faint relief in his heart. But somewhere within them both, something remained unnamed, unresolved, a quiet corner of the market. Lan, weary and weathered, walked into a small clothing shop, clutching an old fabric bag. Her expression softened as she brushed her fingers across a child's dress. A flicker of a smile, faint, hopeful. She picked items carefully, shirts, dresses, a tiny hat, things she believed her daughter might need if they ever reunited. Behind her, whispers stirred. Two young men exchanged glances, eyes fixed on the cash Lan had just withdrawn. A shadow of greed flickered. Silent decisions were made. Lan stepped out, her arms full of packages, her steps light, unaware of the danger following close behind. The scene shifted to a deserted road. The sun dipped low, casting long red hues across the path. A sudden footstep. A hand lunged, her bag ripped away. She fell to the ground. Her cry pierced the silence. No one came. The thieves vanished into the dusty road. A bracelet slipped, then scooped up. The money, gone. All of it. Lan sat up slowly, arms hugging her knees, trembling, her eyes wide with disbelief. She couldn't go to the police. The money wasn't truly hers. She only wanted to buy clothes for her daughter. Now, even that dream had been stolen. What remained was pain, and an echoing silence stretching into the fading light. Late afternoon. Faded sunlight filtered through bamboo groves, casting a warm golden glow on the newly finished kitchen. Tieu washed her hands by the water tank. Uri leaned against a post, quietly gazing across the garden. No words, only the sound of wind and water dripping gently from sleeves. Inside, the kitchen was bright and orderly. Bricks under the pillars, polished bamboo beams, each detail a product of silent shared days. No promises, no bonds, yet something deep had quietly taken root. Tieu handed Uri a cup of water. He accepted it, their hands brushing for just a second. An unintentional touch, yet neither pulled away. They looked at each other. A soft smile touched her lips, brief, like a passing breeze. Uri stood, walking toward the bamboo fence, where the last light of day gently dimmed. She followed. No words about the stranger who had gone. No mention of Lan. Only silence, as if the land itself had absorbed all turmoil, all sorrow, and distilled it into something simple, something calm. Together they stood, facing the sun dipping behind the mountains. A quiet ending. No tears, no demands, just understanding. A gentle bond, woven through days of shared storms and sun. Evening falls quietly. In this small garden, life returns to its rhythm, familiar, but not the same. The stranger has left. His presence, brief and uncertain, has settled into memory. He took nothing with him, but left behind a quiet shift, felt more than seen. Tieu sits beneath the trees. Uri puts the tools away. They don't speak of what happened. Not about the pain, not about Lan, not even about the fear that came and went like passing rain. But something in their silence is different now, softer, steadier. The way they move around each other has changed. The kitchen is built. The cassava grows strong. They don't ask what comes next. They stay, present, unhurried, drinking tea, sharing light. Sometimes, nothing dramatic has to happen. Sometimes, just being there is everything. And so the story ends, not with answers, but with presence, not with noise, but with a quiet that feels like truth.